How's it going, guys? My name is Zach with the Movie Castle, and today we're going to be continuing my Sharks of Summer series. Sharks of Summer is a series I do around here where once a week, at least once during the summer, I take a look at a shark movie. And today, we're going to be looking at Jaws: The Revenge. This is from 1987 and is the fourth and so far final film in the Jaws franchise. This one was directed by Joseph Sargent and stars Lorraine Gary, Lance Guest, Mario Van Peebles, and Michael Caine. Now, the Jaws sequels obviously have quite the reputation behind them, and they're thought of as some of the worst sequels of all time. I think that is a little bit overinflated. They're obviously nowhere near as good as Jaws 1, but they're not the worst things ever either, and if you've seen a lot of other shark movies like I have, they're nowhere near the bottom of the barrel in regards to shark movies. They're okay, just nowhere near what the original was. Now, Jaws 2 I thought was a little bit uninspired. Jaws 3 was dumb, campy, 3D fun. But Jaws 4, that's the one that everyone says is so bad. Jaws 4 is supposed to be one of the worst movies ever made, and it has a huge reputation behind it. Is it earned? I don't think so. Now, it's not a great movie, and it's the worst of the Jaws franchise, but I honestly think it's only a little worse than the last two movies. It's not great, but it's far from the worst thing ever. But I think one of the big problems is it has that Alien 3/Terminator Dark Fate problem, where you start off the movie by ticking off the audience and making them sad. It's really hard to get them back into the movie. And right off the bat, in this movie, we find out that Sheriff Brody, the lead from the first two movies, a great likable character, turns out he died of a heart attack between movies, and his wife speculates that the heart attack was brought on by him just being so scared of sharks. And that's lame. I get that you couldn't get the actor back, but you couldn't find a different way to write him out of the movie, and now we just have this weighing on us the whole rest of the movie, and I won't talk about it just yet, but shortly after this, another horribly depressing thing happens, and so much of the beginning of this movie is depressing, which is not what you want for your summer fun blockbuster. I mean, Jaws invented the summer fun blockbuster, and here we are moping around having a terrible Christmas, and that's the first act of the movie. There's other things, like quite famously with this movie, people had a problem that it's Jaws: The Revenge because the shark is out for revenge. And a lot of people are like, sharks are just animals, they shouldn't think like this. But this shark knows that the Brody family killed his family and is going to follow them from Amity Island all the way to the Bahamas. Which, yeah, that's implausible, I will grant you that. But at this point, the Brody family had seen these sharks 3 times before. You're gonna need some explanation. I mean, yeah, at this point, with all these sharks going after them, I think maybe it's been about revenge for a while. It's stupid, but it didn't bug me. Things that did bug me, though, bad sepia flashbacks to the first film, and it's like oddly dark sepia that it doesn't look like sepia, it looks like mud, and it's flashbacks from characters that I don't think saw the events they're flashing back to, and also, more than that, is the shark. The shark attacks in this movie are done pretty poorly. Quite famously, in the first movie, they couldn't show the shark too much because of repeated technical difficulties, but they shot around it really well. Here, we see the shark a lot more. There's a lot more shark shots, but when the shark actually has to do something, it's this mangled, messed up, confusing edit, and I really don't like it. It gets to have super choppy editing, and there's points in this movie, really any point where the shark does anything big, it becomes borderline unwatchable and super choppy, and that really, really sucks. Now, yeah, I just did dish on it for a while, and there is a lot wrong with this movie, But like I said, it's not the worst thing ever. A lot of the characters are pretty lively. The Bahamas setting is fun, and it's a nice, cool island. And there are some good scenes, like there's a scene in this sunken ship, and then there's the banana boat scene. It's nothing revolutionary and nothing that saves the movie, but I will say it does have its moments. It just, the parts that don't work really stick out like a sore thumb. It's super depressing, and it takes a while to actually get invested in it. And, it's not great, but again, far from the worst thing ever. That being said, in order to analyze it further, I do want to dive into the plot and say my piece on a few plot points. I don't want to do any major spoilers, but I do want to take a moment, break some things down, analyze them, and just take a bit of a closer look. I'll just be avoiding the ends. Anyway, jumping right in, we open up on Amity Island, and we get to meet one of Sheriff Brody's sons, and it turns out he's a deputy. He's following in his father's footsteps, and it's a kind of a cool thing. It's also Christmas on Amity Island, which I think I heard that it was Christmas on Amity Island just because that's when they happened to film it and they had to write it into the script. So Jaws 4 is a Christmas movie for some reason. Okay, cool. We also get a bit with New Year's in here as well. But anyway, he gets a call that there's a piece of wood stuck on a buoy, and he has to go into the water and dislodge the wood from the buoy, and that's when a shark comes and attacks him in a series of quick and confusing cuts. And yeah, Sheriff Brody's son is dead. Just earlier in the movie, we'd found out that Brody himself was dead, and now we found out that his son got eaten by a shark, and not in some spectacular or heroic way. He got eaten for a piece of driftwood, and he was Prologue Guy, one of the worst kills to be in a horror movie, and that's your double whammy. That's one sad moment, followed by a second sad moment, and now we're gonna be following the mother around, and guess what? She's sad, and we're sad. She's depressed, and so are we. Summer blockbuster, am I right? Anyway, she still has one remaining son left. He's married to someone that looks like the girl from the last movie, but I think it's technically a different character. And they live in the Bahamas, so she goes over there and she's spending some time with her remaining family in order to help her through her grief. Now, we find out that the other son is following in Hooper's footsteps, and he's a marine biologist, and he's working with, like, undersea snails. Yay, snails, am I right? He's got this cool friend with a thick accent, and they're on the boat together, and they're talking about their studies. It's a cool little crew on this boat, but of course the mom is like, stay away from the water, I don't want you in there because of the sharks killing our whole family. And he's like, Mom, this is my career path. It's a little late to stop this now. So he's kind of going out there against his mother's will. And wouldn't you know it, the shark has found them. I don't know how it would find them. Like, it can't call the airport on the phone and say, what plane did they get on? A lot of people say it must have some sort of psychic link, which, that's nuts, but whatever. The shark has somehow found them, and it's not supposed to like these waters because it's too warm, but it's there anyway, and Brody's friend goes, this is super rare, we're scientists, let's study it, and they study it without telling anybody else this is what they're doing, which I get you wouldn't want your mom to freak out, but still, like, you're in a Jaws movie and you're messing around with this shark in secret, it doesn't help you be a super likable character doing something like this that's just going to get you and your family hurt. Whatever. The guy that piloted the plane that brought them there is Michael Caine, and Michael Caine's gonna start to get close to the Brody mom, and the thing is, like, Sheriff Brody just died. But not to her, because it's been a few years for her, but to us it's only been like 30 minutes. It's like, I'm glad she's moving on, but it's like I just found out about Brody's death myself. It's a little abrupt, but again, I guess good for her. But we get that, we get the messing around, we get her slowly coming out of grief, and we get to see, Brody's loving wife, his friends, family, we get to kind of see this world, all the while the shark is just kind of being studied a little bit, but eventually, it's gonna break out and it's gonna start making its presence known, and we're going to get into a Jaws movie. Yeah, really, up until the end there, the shark is just kind of looking at just the one Brody kid. Yeah, I don't know. Not the best balance, and it focuses... Again, normally I'd say it's good to focus on character, but when you're doing the summer blockbuster and you're just giving me these sad family dramas, that's not really where I want to be either. Overall, Jaws the Revenge isn't the best. Its problems stick out like a sore thumb, and maybe you could have done something along this path, but it's just not really great. Again, some of the characters are cool, the Bahamas setting is cool, it does have a few good sequences, but overall it's just too sad, and it's not what I want out of a Jaws movie. Whatever though. To everyone who's watched so far, thank you for watching. To everyone who's liked and subscribed, thank you. You really are helping the channel out. I'll leave a relevant playlist on the bottom. This should be my Shark Movies playlist, where you can see my reviews for the past Jaws movies as well. At this point, I've covered all of them. Anyway, have a good day. I'll see you guys again very, very soon. Relevant playlist on the bottom. Have a good day now.